Dan Lucas is a candidate for House District 27. It's in the West Hills, Raleigh Hills, etc. And he ran an editorial that the Beaverton Times actually ran the other day, and it was quite informative. In fact, there was one factoid out of that I just found breathtaking on the issue of the state budget, and thank goodness somebody's willing to lead by example and tell people what we ought to do. And Dan, welcome to the Victoria Taft Show.
Hey, Victoria.
I wanted to call attention to the third paragraph of your Beaverton Valley Times piece, which appeared on June 3rd. What a surprise to find out then that the 2009 legislature chose to cut $150 million from the K through 12 schools and then give that money to the Department of Human Services even before measures 66 and 67. It's Oregon's dirty little budget secret. The legislature cut school funding and they didn't need to.
I was astounded when I found that, and of course, to find anything in the budget, I mean, it would be easier to find Jimmy Hoffa's body.
Well, word up. I mean, how did you find that?
Well, I actually, when I was in the Army, I was an analyst at a spy station in Berlin, and I seriously was, and that's what it takes to get into these budgets. Because they worked very, very hard to keep this stuff hidden, and just even in a number of versions of budgets. But I spent many nights staying up till 2 in the morning, pouring through the numbers, and when I finally came up with this, I was just astonished because, I mean, they pulled the wool over Oregon's eyes. They got everybody to believe in 66 and 67, but even before those things, before those petitions got circulated, they'd already cut schools by $150 million, and they grew DHS by $330 million.
They would say, well, we needed money. I mean, we had to have people who, got their unemployment benefits and all the other benefits that we give people during bad recessionary times, but they did it from the schools. I mean...
Right. Well, and that sounds plausible because that's what they were saying is, well, we have to give more to DHS for things like food stamps and unemployment. There's a couple problems there. Unemployment is not given out by DHS. It's given out by the Employment Department, a completely different department within the state, and they actually cut that budget. Somehow that department's able to do more with less, just like we in the business world have to do. But then DHS, so then they're back there just with food stamps. And so apparently to do more with food stamps, they take $330 million. Well, that's not quite accurate because the actual money for food stamps comes from the federal government. And so the only thing that comes from state funding is administering the food stamp. That didn't take $330 million. That DHS in this last budget added 1,300 employees, and that's the same number of employees that's in the entire state police department. That's troopers, dispatchers, forensic scientists, game wardens. It's just astonishing.
Wow.
They pulled the wool over Oregon's eyes.
And I'm stunned. I mean, I really am. I knew that there's subterfuge. I know that they pad budgets. I know that they have positions that they fund for which there's no person associated with the position. We know this stuff. But the fact that there was some, the rearranging of the deck chairs, and then they plead poverty, and then they say, well, the schools, we've got to raise taxes. It's the schools, our children, whatever. I mean, I'm sick and tired of hearing it.
No, exactly. And, I think a lot of people, myself included, for a long time have had a sneaking suspicion that schools are being used as hostages.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
This is the first time I found definitive proof.